Howdy, howdy, and welcome back. It's another Workshop Wednesday, and today we're talking about building an automatic funnel tracking system. Now, before we get too far into this, I want to let you know that you may be seeing this a little bit delayed than what is normally what happens. So typically by Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have these workshops up. Unfortunately, when I went to actually go do that with this particular workshop, I was unable to edit my site. We are clearly having some technical difficulties. Gotta love modern technology. So if this is definitely going to be delayed at this point. So I apologize for those who came in, because we have a lot of fans who come in right at 3 o'clock to watch this. So again, I apologize. It was not there for you. We kept the other one up instead. So at least you had something to watch. And if this is here, hopefully you are watching it. We got this updated as fast as we could. So thank you for your patience. Now, my name is Chris Mercer. I do go by Mercer, co-founder of MeasurementMarketing.io, where you can find our stuff, maybe Digital Marketer, CXL, Social Media Examiner, and of course, maybe you're already a member at MeasurementMarketing.io. However you made it here, thank you very much for joining. Our job is to help people like you figure out how to know their numbers and grow their numbers, learning stuff like analytics, Tag Manager, Data Studio, etc. And we're going to talk a lot today about Google Analytics, specifically to help us with funnels. Now, why would we do that? Because we use the measurement marketing framework. We have the 5 pillars: planning, figuring out what's important, building by actually collecting that stuff, reporting so that we can actually get that stuff together in a report we can use to get answers. Once we have those answers, we start to forecast, and ultimately we can then optimize what's working and what's not. Now, with all of these trainings, just focus on one thing, one new idea. This particular training is going to be a little bit of an overview of multiple ways based on your skill set and kind of where you are. I'm going to show you some very high level, some in the weeds stuff, but mostly some high level things that you can do to set up automatic funnel tracking for your own customer journeys or for your own sales funnels. And again, mostly using Google Analytics, because that's the thing that we all have. So with this training, just pick up one new idea, one new concept, one new technique. Start with where you are, get good enough to get going, then come back and maybe make it better later on as you go through it. All right, here we go. Beyond Basics, building an automatic funnel tracking system. Now we're going to dive right in, and I'm going to pull in to our Google Analytics. So we're in our Google Analytics I'm going to use the production account for this one. And what we're going to do is we're going to build a funnel. Now I want to talk about multiple ways that you can build automatic funnel tracking using measurement and predominantly Google Analytics. So we're going to start with the basic one that hopefully you're pretty familiar with. And that is the idea of actually creating a funnel using the Google Analytics funnels system. So there is this. So you can create a regular destination goal, and then you can come in and you can do the goal itself, right, which is the main destination goal, is sort of the final step, and you can turn on a funnel. And then what happens is you put in step 1, step 2, a couple of tips on this particular technique. Whatever you set this to, regular expression equals 2 begins with, whatever you set that to, and you really should focus on getting into regular expression, as this is a Beyond the Basics workshop. If you're not using regular expression yet, start to look to come up with reasons to use it, because it's really helpful. So set it to regular expression or whatever suits you. Then whatever this is, consider this kind of like the parent step. All these little children steps down here, little baby steps, they all inherit from the parent. So all of these become regular expression. And if I switch this to equals to, then obviously this would be equals to, but so would these. They'd be judged as equals to. So just a little FYI there, which is why we end up using regular expression a lot. And then the other pro tip is you always start with the first step of your journey, and I would, as a best practice, set this to required. I'll show you what this looks like in a second so you can see it, but I would set it to required. And then the cart system, the next step, doesn't have that step. But I would always say first step, set to required. It has a nice clean funnel reporting for you. The final step, what I see people do is they will come in and they'll say, cart, and then thank you. Or they put in their final step here, and they duplicate it. So remember, this is the final step. The goal itself is the final step. The funnel steps are the steps leading to the final step, so you do not have to duplicate it here. It'll automatically be there. Finally, little pro tip. Or another pro tip, I should say, is the third one as far as a misconception around how this particular system operates. Every time this goal is triggered, every time it's triggered by Google Analytics, it will fire. It doesn't mean, and I thought the same thing when I started this. I thought, well, if I turn on a funnel, this is only going to fire if they go through these steps, then it'll fire. That is not true. this will fire. If I go directly to the thank you page for the Academy, it will absolutely fire. It just will not show in a funnel report. And that's what I wanted to show you here. So you can set up goals like this. Hopefully you've already played a little bit with this technique because it is built into Google Analytics, but I wanted to kind of cover some of the pro tips there where people go wrong. They either duplicate the final step, which you don't have to. They don't realize that whatever they set this to is what these are doing, and so things don't work right because they think these are begins to, and they set up as a regular expression or vice versa. So just remember, whatever this is set to is what these are being used as, right, defined as. And then finally, this will always fire no matter what, even if they don't go through these. Now, why is that important? I'll show you just kind of right here. If we go to the final step, actually, we haven't had any conversion in the last 7 days for this particular campaign, so it's not a great example, but let me show you. I think we've got another one that does. Nope, we don't in this one. That's all right. Let me just go back. I thought we had ones that are for monthly pass. I think that's in another view. But let me show you what this does. And we're going to go back in time so we can pull up some information here. And this is partially because, actually, to be fair, I don't think those goals are even useful to us anymore because we've now since switched to the Academy funnel itself. But I'm going to pull up back when these were useful to us because they've got some data. And we're going to go into, okay, so we see where it says Academy funnel. So I'm selecting my goal. I'm in my goals funnel visualization report. I can see where it says Academy funnel and 22. Here I see Academy purchase 22. So what is this telling me? These goals are actually set up identically. It's the exact same goal. It's that weird little regular expression with the Thank You Academy page. Exact same definition. This one is just that page. This one is the funnel. So what you would think is that, oh, well, this one's going to be 22, and this one says 22 of those people went through the funnel. That's not exactly true. It's not what it's actually telling you. This is analytics saying, hey, this happened 22 times. It's analytics telling you this happened 22 times. Now, when I click onto this, then what we will see is the actual funnel. And you can see it's actually only 4 people now. So that 22 became a 4 in this report. How did that happen? Because 22 people saw the thank you page and triggered that goal, but 4 people went through this particular process in this particular funnel. And so we can see sales page. We had 1,458 sales page. This, by the way, is why you just do the required step on that first step, because you see people coming into, then leaving or going through. But otherwise, if you didn't click that step to required, it would have a bunch of people coming in the middle here and maybe people coming in the end here, and it messes up your numbers. It's not a great automatic funnel tracking system. But this particular report is not bad when it comes to automatic funnel tracking. And I think if you're just starting out, maybe you just got into GA and you're ready to level up a little bit, this is a good one to start with. So start with this. It's fairly simple to get started with, and you can dive into it. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk about as an overall funnel tracking that you can do is with spreadsheets. Now, spreadsheets are super cool. You can actually, this is how we used to do it way back in the day. So we would actually create a spreadsheet that would automatically track our funnel steps. Now, how did we do that? We did that with sequences. So I'm going to come into, let's just go into behavior, site content. I just want to pull up something so I can see some sequences. Again, this is beyond the basics. So I'm going to assume you know a little bit about sequences. If not, this is the time to learn. So sequences are pretty cool. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to pull up our steps here. So you can see that we've got a bunch of different ones. Here's one for Win Monthly Pass that we've built. And part of the reason why you don't see a lot of funnel goals in our Google Analytics, in what we were just showing you was the Academy, but we don't do it for Win Monthly Pass, is because we do it in different ways. We do it in Data Studio, we do it in spreadsheets. And both of those options, and I will show you both of those options actually use segments in Google Analytics. And this, I think, is really when you're past the funnel visualization goal, which is a good thing. It's a great report. It's just a little limited. You can't really segment it, and it's pretty brute force. Like, it does what it does well, but that's all that it does, and it's not really all that flexible. But this segments, it's a whole other thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna edit this, and I'm gonna show you what this is doing here, so you can build your own. Now, segments, the way that they work is you build it's called a segment because it's the segment feature of Google Analytics called a segment, but there is a part within segments that is called a sequence, which hopefully, with any luck, you will be seeing momentarily. I'm just going to refresh just in case we are glitching out a little bit here. So the sequence is the secret sauce to this. So you're going to use this part called sequences, which I'll show you in just a moment. So we're going to go to step. Let me pull up the sequence. Let's see if this works. There we go. Much better. Okay. So now what I've got is a sequence. So there's conditions and sequences under the advanced. And I'm skipping through all this stuff because there are plenty of workshops we have on how to use segments. If you're a Win Monthly Pass member, you can go into Win Google Analytics Basics and Win Google Analytics Advanced Customization. You'll see segments all day long. And in particular, Win Funnel Tracking is if you're kind of curious about, well, I want to learn more about this particular thing, go to Win Funnel Tracking. There is entire lessons dedicated to how to set up funnel goals in analytics, or how to set up this stuff that I'm about to show you in Google Analytics. I wanted this workshop to be kind of the general overview that showed you all the different ones you could choose from. Then you can go to something like Win Funnel Tracking, or if you're not a Win Monthly Pass member, you can go, figure out your next steps from there. But at least you knew a direction. So in this case, we've got step one set out, and all I've did is I said, okay, step one contains, in this case, the page itself. This is the offer page for the monthly pass program. So that's step one. That's what I'm doing. That's what sequences are for. Notice step one. So super cool. Now I'm going to go to add segment. I'm going to discard these changes. Let's pull up something else, and I'm going to show you step two, because you will see how this starts to pull together. So step two in monthly pass, we're going to edit this. Now this one is two steps. So this is starting with the first step, which is who saw the monthly pass page, then was followed by, in the same visit, in the same session, was followed by, this case, this is our cart page. So what the actual shopping cart page was. Pretty cool. So now you'll see it says 86 users here. So I've got 86 at this particular stage. Now if I go to the final stage, and we're going to pull up the segment again, this one's step 3 segment. So we're going to pull this up, and you will see we were at 86. Now we are sitting at 32. So now we know that 32 of the original, or of the 86 people who saw the cart, 32 of them did this, which is the offer page, then saw the cart, then saw the thank you page, all within the same session, which is really important. So, and this is a lot of secret sauce, because you're telling analytics, create a segment, a group of people who follow a particular sequence. And you'll notice each step has that many steps in it. So step 3 has the 3 steps. Step 2 just has the 2 steps. Step 1 just has the first step. And then that's how these segments start to work. So how does this actually come into play? Well, we're going to set it. There's 2 ways. I'm going to show you kind of the rough idea when it comes to a spreadsheet. I don't think you'll use it all that often anymore. It used to be this was the only thing you could do with the spreadsheet, but I wanted to show this to you. And again, we go into this in great detail in Win Funnel Tracking. So I didn't want to cover it too much here, but I wanted to make you aware of it because, again, it's kind of fallen out of fashion a little bit, but it is a useful technique, and you might find that it's useful for your particular situation. So I'm just going to call this test report. Now, all I've done, by the way, is I've added the Google Analytics add-on. If you need that, you just go to Get Add-ons. When this pops up, you will see Google Analytics in there. Just select that or search for it, add it in. And then you'll be able to do exactly what I'm doing here. Now, I'm not going to use the demo account. I'm going to use our account. And then it basically tells you, well, how do you want to hook this together? And we hook it all together like this. And then it's choose configuration options. So what do I want? Well, my metric is I want the number of users. Then dimensions will be my date. So I want by day in this case, and then segments. Look at this. Which segment do I want? So I'm going to say step 1, and I'm going to do what you just saw. Step 1 with Win Monthly Pass. So I'm going to create this report. So when I do this, pretty, again, this is admittedly, this is a little geeky looking, but it'll make sense in a second. So I have this one thing here where it's like, okay, here's my test. I'm actually going to change this to say step 1, because that's really what it is. So I'm going to say step 1. Now I'm going to do this again. So I'm going to go to add-ons, Google Analytics, create new report, and then I'll show you the magic. So what I'm going to do, and I'm doing this in real time. There's no editing with this particular workshop, so you can see just how fast this works or doesn't work in real time. So we're going to go to measurement marketing. I'm already in the same view that I want to go to. Again, users is what I'm using for the number of people who by day went through step number 2. So step number 2, if I can type in the 2, is right here for Win Monthly Pass. So there's my Win Monthly Pass step 2. So I create that report. So now I'm going to have the step 1, there's my step 2, and then I'm going to do that one last time. So we're going to go to create new report. And I'm just doing one for each of my steps. And what's really important, the things that separate these out, is the fact that I'm doing different segments. So I'm using my step 1 segment or my step 2 segment or my step 3 segment. So now I'm going to say measurement marketing. Great. I just want to use the users and the date. And this time I want step 3, people that reached step 3 as my segment. So now I've got these 3 different segments. And again, these look a little geeky. This is just API stuff that this is helping you with. It's kind of like a wizard that helps you figure out all the complicated stuff without you having to actually do it. So here, this is telling us, okay, go to the view, go to the last 30 days, go find all the number of users. In this case, the users by day is what's going to pop here. And it's going to use this segment, which is the step 1 people. So this should be all the people who see the landing page. Step 2 is all this stuff is basically the same. This is the only thing that's different. It's a different segment because it's the step 2 segment that you just saw. So this is all the people who saw the page and then saw the cart. And then finally, step 3, this time it's using this segment, which is defined with the sequence that says step 1, saw the cart, or the lander page, saw the cart, and then finally saw the thank you page. So this should be all of those. Now, watch what happens. I'm going to go to tools, add-ons, Google Analytics, run reports. With any luck, we're about to get a bunch of green check marks that say, yes, everything's good. Reports ran successfully. All right, so there's step 1, step 2, and step 3. We click OK. Now I'm going to go to step 1. So what is this telling me? So by day, see how it's broken down by day? I have all these different stages and steps, and I have a total of 219 users during this past date range, which in this case is the last 30 days. So I've got this date range, 219 people broken down by day. That's what this is. So I'm just going to keep it up here so you can see it. 219 people. What's step 2? That's 219 people saw the landing page. This is how many people saw the landing page and then the cart. 15. Not so great. Step 3, I've got 5 that made it through that. So about 30% of those people. So, all right. So now we've got kind of an idea of a funnel. So what do we do with that? Well, what we do with this is what I do with this. Is I'll come up here and I'll do this. We used to do this just in a spreadsheet before Data Studio. So we create a little summary and we'd say, okay, here's step 1. Here's step, actually, I'm going to do a little percentage. Actually, I won't right now. I'll show you. So we'll do step 1, step 2, step 3. And then what I'm going to do is also put the date. All right, so then what we do is I'm going to, just a little spreadsheet magic, I'm going to click equals, and we're going to link back to the date on step 1, right there. Then I'm going to say here, equals, and we're going to click on this block for step 1 here for the actual number of users for that day. Then on step 2, I'm going to click equals. I'm going to go to step 2 and click the number for equals for that day. And then we're finally going to do that for step 3 and go back and click number of, on that day for step 3. Then all we do, we drag this stuff down. And we start seeing our numbers. Pretty cool. So now what we can do is I can figure out a conversion rate. So I might just say that's going to be defined as equals SUM of this divided by that. So what's our conversion rate? It is the number of people who finished divided by the number of people who started. And then we can drag that down, little formula, and you start to see, okay, on this day I converted 8%. On these other days it was 0%. On this day it was 7%, 11%, 12%. And then what I could do, just again, little spreadsheet magic, I could create a little totals column up here and just total a column. So I have everything going across. So I can say 219, 15, and 5, just as you saw before. There's my conversion rate overall. So now I have this nice overall conversion rate that kind of tells me, okay, here's how my overall funnel is working. It's at a 2.8% conversion rate overall, which is not bad. And here's how it did by day. So I can see certain spikes in traffic or something else. So that's pretty cool because what happens is, remember, this is all about automatic funnel tracking. What happens is I come to this report and I can, if you're comfortable with spreadsheets, just stay here, right? You can see this exactly what your overall is and everything else. And pretty cool, I can go to add-ons, Google Analytics, and schedule reports. This is what makes this automatic. Because then I can say, hey, run this report automatically every day between 4 and 5. This is, by the way, the time zone of the creator of the sheet. So if you've got a VA somewhere or an assistant somewhere in a different country, a different time zone, it'll be based on their time zone, FYI. If you create it and then have them edit it, it'll be based on your time zone because you're the owner of the sheet. So just a little FYI there. But this is automatically going to run now every day between 4 and 5. And what does that mean for us? Well, that means every day this report gets updated, in this case for the last 30 days, but you could make it out for the year if you wanted. How would I do that? I would just say start date. Let's just say 01/01/19 and then end date yesterday. And we can just keep doing that, and it'll be through 2019. So this will be, so this will pull up all of last year and up through yesterday So let's go back and I'm going to show what that looks like. Let's run the report one more time. And again, you could make the end date a fixed end date, but you don't want to because the report's going to update every day. So the definition of yesterday changes, of course, every day. But now if we look at step 1, you'll see a lot more people, 1,272. Why? Because it's pulling all of 2019's data all the way through whatever yesterday was. So it starts at a fixed date, and then it just keeps adding to it every single day. So you'll have all of that, and I'll keep scrolling down here so you can see it. And then tomorrow, there'll be 520, and the next day, it'll be 521. The next day, it'll be 522, and it just keeps adding, which is nice because it'll keep adding here as long as all of this stuff is let out. Now, obviously, this funnel didn't exist back in 2019, but you would take and just copy this whole thing out. And then as data came in, it would just automatically be there. And because it was automatically there, it would start to automatically total and adjust your overall. So you can just keep this going on. You'll see obviously a lot of little formulas that come through, but you start to see numbers, as it's going through, figuring out its conversion rates. And then up here, the overall conversion rate would total, let's say this is 420. There we go. And I can say, overall we're doing 7.9, and here's how the breakdown is by day, and you can see, traffic sources, whatever else. So you can, but it's automated. You just come into this report every day. It'll be automated with the most current version of the truth through whatever date range you told it to do. So it's another, I think, underrated now technique, because it used to be this is all you could do. So people had to do this. And if you are a spreadsheet type person, if you're a numbers type person, this might be just all you need, because you can do a lot of other stuff here. You can add in other columns, figure out your conversion rates between steps and everything else. And again, for a very, very, very long time, years and years and years, this is what we did. And it worked really, really well. Now, that said, let's revisit our friend Data Studio. Data Studio is the new and improved. It's the new hotness. We are very satisfied with Data Studio. So if I come in here, I'm going to show let's just go into here. So how we build this out, I'm going to quickly build this so you can kind of see it. And let's just do page 2. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to build a little funnel tracking here. We want to have this automated funnel tracking. So how do we do it in Data Studio? Well, first things first, I'm going to go into a new chart. We're going to add in a scorecard. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to pull this one out of the way. How's that? Okay. So we'll start with our scorecard. And the scorecard is just the number. In this case, it'll be the number of users that we want. I'm going to flip the data source so that we can do measurement marketing. Let's see. I'm going to add a data source here. I'm going to connect our data sources just to make sure it's in there. I think it's this one. Okay, we always got to make sure it's the right view that's got the right segments that we built, which I believe this is correct. Marketing only, perfect. Okay, I'm just checking to see if the view is the same. So now that I've just connected into my view, we're going to say marketing only. Right there, GDS data source marketing only. Okay, perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this to users. And it's kind of like the same thing you do with a spreadsheet. You say, okay, it wants to know what you want. It's like, well, I want, users. So let's pull that in as my metric right there. But do I want all my users during a particular date range? No, I only want a certain segment of users. So I can now go to my segment picker. It's a custom segment because I've created it. And here I can just search for it. Look at that, step 1. So now I can say, here are my users for step 1. Then copy and paste this over. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's connected to the same data source already. Only this time I'm going to change the segment to step 2. You guessed it, step 2. So we're going to do this, add to report. And I'm just going to copy that. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to take off that segment because I don't want step 2 anymore. I want this to be step 3. So now we're going to go create or add a segment that's already been created. Remember, the segment, which is the cool part, segment was set up in analytics. So whatever I change in analytics, if I have to change the definition of the segment, if I change in analytics, it automatically filters through to my reports, which is super cool. So now I've got these. And then finally, how do we figure out a conversion rate? Well, we're going to select this one. Then we're going to select this one. I'm going to right click. We're going to click on blend data. And oops, I think it actually blended all. Nope, there it is. Perfect. There's my conversion rate. So I thought I blended all three. Just blended the two, which is what I wanted. So now I can see here's my users through step 1, step 2, step 3. Again, how do I change these? This is just Data Studio stuff. But I basically say, hey, this is step 1 to whatever I want to call it. Here, I'm going to change this to step 2. And here, I'm going to change this to step 3. And then here, I'm going to say this is conversion rate. And of course, you could build this to put conversion rates in between steps and everything else, because we're really a big believer in knowing your results and how you're achieving your results. You have to know that. You have to know the story of how you're achieving this. But now this is automated. How is it automated? Because I can come in here, put in a little date range. I'm going to click in the little date range block, keep that here. And now when I go to view and you interact with this report and I say, okay, well, I want to see, just this year. So we'll expand the date. And it says, oh, well, this year, here's how your funnel's doing. 396, 48, 15. I can go. And then, of course, tomorrow, guess what? The data is going to be there because it's pulling directly from Google Analytics. It's segmented. I can see what my conversion rates were. I can compare to different price points or different time periods. I can say last year, what was last year's conversion rate like? Oh, here's what it was last year, as we were going through. So you can start to really get this automated performance. And again, this, of course, is the ugly looking dashboard. This is not going to be an entire training on using Data Studio, but you get the idea of yet another way to do automated funnel tracking, right? So you can automatically do this funnel tracking. So Data Studio. And what's cool about Data Studio and the spreadsheet method, both of them are basically using the same mechanism, which is these segments. You create a segment, which again is really using the sequence inside the segment. You use sequences. And again, just to show you what that looks like. And you create one segment for each step. So one, and then again, defined as a sequence. So in this case, the step 3 is people who started step 1, then step 2, then finally step 3. You don't just put the thank you page. You put people who did this, then that. That's sort of what you're looking for. And of course, if you need help with this, if you're already an Academy member or a Win Monthly Pass member, just use Ask Instructor Support. It's why we are there. So you can show us exactly what's going on and we can help you debug if you're getting a result that you just don't expect. Finally, I'm going to show you one last one that I think you could also take advantage of. I actually use this when we're tracking our numbers, and this is what I would call the quick and dirty. It's not quite accurate, but it's definitely useful method of automatic funnel tracking. So what this is, I'm going to show this to you. So I can come into, custom reports. So I've created a custom report in a different view, evidently. So let me go to my other view. So there it is, custom report, and I go to my funnels report. And I actually use this. This is what I do. So I'll come through here and I'll pull the funnels for a certain thing and I'll say, okay, here's my Win Monthly Pass funnel. And what I'm looking for is the number of offer pages, number of cart pages, number of thank you pages. Now, what is this pulling from? How is this being defined? Are this segments? No, it's not, which is what makes it not accurate. So and I don't really care about accuracy. I'm just looking for trending data. That's all I really use it for. Because kind of a pro tip with measurement. If you measure something inaccurately, but you measure it consistently in that way, you will still see the same trend. It's kind of a cool thing. So what I'm looking for is trending data. And so I just quickly, this is a nice little quick and dirty report. You see how fast that loaded for me to see where this funnel is. So what did I do? I created a custom report. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And again, this isn't a deep dive on creating custom reports, but I wanted to show you how it was built. So I just came in here, I created a tab for each one of our programs that we were looking for that was some sort of customer journey or funnel because I wanted something I could flip through very quickly. And then I said, okay, I want it by users. Then the first thing is, in this case, it's a goal that we set. So Win Monthly Pass offer page. Let me see if I can get that to load up. Let me just go into, I'll show you these right here. So just kind of in examples. So because these goals are already taken up, they're not going to show. But Kickstarter. So you see it says these goals. So what you're looking for is the one that says completion. So I'm going to type in the word completion because these are what you're looking for. You're looking for completion goals, the number of times the goal was completed. So I could put in here Academy 1 sales, and that would be how many people saw the Academy sales page. So that's what that is now flipped to. Now, if I save this, which I'm not going to because that actually is right here. This is my Academy goal. But that's how I got it there. So I can go back and say, okay, this is the Academy sales page. This is the goal that was created for the cart page or whatever the engagement goal was, and then here's our completion goal, right, using ACE goals. So if I go back to admin, just to show you where those are, goals. And so we set up the goals here. There's my first goal, my second goal, my third goal. I just basically created a custom report that said the number of times this goal is achieved, put it in there. And that's it. And then I have this nice, fast, super easy automatic funnel tracking system that's built. Again, that is the least accurate way of doing this, because just because the click to form goal fires does not mean they first saw the sales page, because these goals are independent of each other. That's why when I really want to know like the truth of what's going on, I want a useful truth of things. When I'm looking to optimize something, I will look at my Data Studio report or the spreadsheets, because those are built with sequences, right? The completely different thing. It's a sequence within a segment. And so those totally different. That's what all these are. So these are different stages and steps. And this is what we really use for that stuff. But again, I think this goes back to how comfortable you are with all these different bells and whistles in Google Analytics. The point of this workshop is that you know there are multiple ways to create an automatic funnel tracking system. So hopefully you got at least one new thing. Maybe it was just, I'll just start using the goals report that's built that. Funnel visualization report is perfect. Use that. I think it's great. Maybe it is the idea of a custom report because you want to stay in Google Analytics and you don't want to go outside of that platform. Maybe it's a spreadsheet because you're kind of a geeky numbers person like I am, and you can handle that and go for it if that's your thing. But if spreadsheets are not your thing, you can still build segments and use them in Data Studio, because Data Studios make things really awesome. And most of the reports that you see us demonstrate, they're hooked into segments. Now, again, for any of this stuff, you can go check out Win Funnel Tracking. It's one of the wins available in the members area. It's actually specifically, I believe, under the measurement strategy. I take that back. It's under the Data Studio pack. So we've got our dashboards and reporting Kickstarter pack that it's a part of. Of course, Win Monthly Pass members, you already have access to it in the courses area. Measure.tip/courses, by the way, if you're not yet a member, you want to learn more about it, you can see it there. Now, next week's topic of this workshop series is going to be a strategy session. We're going to talk about how to start marketing forward, which is just a mindset shift. So again, I think from a strategy perspective, super important for those of you who are not necessarily implementers, building out all this stuff, but you need to guide the team and guide the company, and you're thinking about the strategy and how to do that. This will be an important one for you to attend. Of course, you do not have access to that unless you're a Workshop Wednesday participant. You got to have access to Workshop Wednesday. Fortunately, anybody who has access to the Measurement Marketing Toolbox has that. So you've got Workshop Wednesday, the Traffic Tracking Toolkit, all this other stuff that's back there. The Toolbox membership, by the way, completely free. So if you are not yet a member, definitely jump on. Measure.tip/WW. It's our free gift to you to help out the community. You sign up for it. It'll give you access to the member site, and you'll have access to these trainings each and every week. And it's just replaced out with whatever the new training is. And then, of course, the entire toolbox that we've got back there. So you've got 40 some odd tools that you have access to. So use those to your heart's content and use them in good measurement health. All right. With that, we'll go ahead and bring it to a close. You just watched Beyond Basics, building an automatic funnel tracking system. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.